I broke my wife and I don't think it is fixable. There are many ways to take that. This happened 6 months ago, and I only chose to talk now because I don't see an improvement in sight and I am hopeless. We were at a party, my friend is single, and we started talking about love and relationships. My wife and I have been happily married for 7 years. We have 3 beautiful children. She is the love of my life. When I was talking to my friend, I felt like we were on different levels of thinking. His complaints are mostly superficial about how the people he dated looked. I was a bit drunk at that point and said something like, "Y'all fall in love with looks. Look at me and my wife, and I love her more than anything compared to my ex, who was just looks." Everyone went silent, and my damage control was worse, so I ended up shutting the hell up. I couldn't get my point across, but even I thought that maybe these thoughts have been in my head, but only came out when I was drunk. My wife was shocked. First week, she was so angry and wanted to understand what I meant, and nothing I said was good enough. I was drunk. I love her. I think she's the most beautiful woman. She thought being drunk made me say true feelings. Then one morning she just said, I have never felt as ugly as I have felt this past week. I have always thought I was beautiful. She didn't cry this time, but she hasn't been happy since. I started crying and apologizing, but she was like emotionless. It was the last time she looked at me too. She is taciturn and distant, but only with me. She has lost 20 pounds and she works out 6 to 7 days a week. She never has free time with me. If she's not with the children or her family or friends, she's immersed in some book or has her headphones on. She's always fully clothed, now even in bed. She locks the bathroom door when she takes a shower. She's more active on social media too. She shares many pictures of her, and she thanks everyone who gives her a compliment. Before, it was just pictures with our children and pets, but now it's her, working out in sports bras and tights. I broke her, and I don't know how to fix it. Top comments here. You say your damage control was worse. What else did you say that night, and how long did you do it for? OP's response, my friend and wife and my wife's friend and husband were very silent, and I started saying that I didn't mean that my wife wasn't good looking. I just meant that I loved her for other things. I'm doing my best drunk talk version of him again. Then, even worse, I said that sometimes you are very attracted to someone and everything is a whirlwind with them, but you have nothing in common and see no future. And I probably alluded that I used my brain and not my dick when looking for a relationship. I thought it was the logical way of thinking, but for her, I think she would have preferred that whirlwind and passion. I haven't read all the comments. This is the first one I read that asked to explain the damage control. More top comments here. 1, yeah, knowing what he said for damage control is necessary because that error would have been so easy to fix. Oh God, no, what I meant was my wife has more than good looks, which is why our marriage works. She's more than just a pretty face. So I can only imagine what he spewed to make it this bad. 2, the fact that everybody has asked him and he hasn't said, I'm going to guess it was bad, even too bad for the batshit insanity of Reddit. Oh, well, we know what he said now. She didn't cry this time. That says a lot. Indifference is worse than being emotional. She's done with him. I was thinking the same thing. She's not just indifferent at this point. She's preparing her launch back out into the world. She's doing all this stuff for her. She's working on self-improvement. She's posting a lot of individual social posts. She's past indifference now. She's already begun her launch back into the world, bro. You're way too late in this process here. All right, we got an update that's 26 days later. She is checked and prepping. Checked out and prepping. Yeah, she done. I would be shocked if this update is everything's fine now. There's no way. There's no way. All right. Update 26 days later. We have been going to counseling, and my wife at first has been very reluctant to open up and wanted to pretend that everything was fine. One session, she just asked me, I want the truth, here and now. No sugarcoating, and do not try to spare my feelings. Did you find me attractive when we met? I really didn't know what to say to this.
Oh, my God.
What do you mean you didn't know what to say to this, bro? There's only one thing to say to this. There is only one answer. The fact that you didn't know what to say to it is an immediate meltdown failure. Why did you even go to counseling if you couldn't find an answer to this question? Why did you even go? Well, just throw the towel. Somebody in this boy's corner, just throw the towel, man. He needs to stop fighting. He's only digging this hole deeper and deeper and deeper. I love her more than anything, even more than my children and myself. I think that she's the most beautiful woman I know, but did I immediately think that when I met her? No, I didn't really find her attractive. We all grow up having a type. I remember thinking that she wasn't exactly my type, but she was so lovable and sweet. It didn't take me long to fall for her, and now I find women who look like her attractive, so I guess type is something very superficial and fleeting. I told her the truth. She cried and said that she herself didn't know why she was so hurt and crying. She knew that there were more beautiful women. She never wanted to be the most beautiful woman either, but that she had always been considered beautiful by other people, which is true, and always gotten attention. But the fact that the one person she wanted to be found the most beautiful girl in the world by didn't think that, and that's what made her sad. The man she loved way before we even started dating. This was on our latest session, and it was the most draining experience. Later, when we got home, she apologized for making a big deal out of something this trivial, but that she just couldn't help it, and she was confused to why it affected her so badly. She apologized. She apologized for making this a big deal. Like, wow. On Saturday, she told me that she didn't want to stay in our marriage, that something broke inside of her. She asked me if I would try to hurt her and the children if we did separate, if I would use them to get back at her, alienate her because she chose to leave. I promised her that none of this would happen, that I loved her and wanted her to be happy even if it wasn't with me. Our families are in an uproar over this. Mostly they're angry with her. What? That she let her insecurities get the best and worst of her. What? But I don't think it is insecurity, to be honest. She has never cared about people's attention. She just realized that the only person whose approval she cared about didn't give her. At least that he had to learn it, and that wasn't enough. I'm going to go ahead and do this before we read the comments on the update. Brozo. Brozo. What? You know, most people, whenever they have a thought, it runs through at least one filter. And you think, how is this going to be received by the person I'm about to spew this nonsense onto? And then it goes through a couple of revisions in your head before making it to your mouth. This guy is like a lucky strike. He's just completely filterless. He is just full bore, straight pipes, just no filter whatsoever, just digging himself a grave that is deeper and deeper and deeper every time he opens his damn mouth. I do not understand why he went to counseling if he was going to say the shit that he said. And it doesn't sound like he's trying to be hurtful. He's trying to be 100% honest, but you have to. I don't know. I don't get it. Comments on the update. 1, dude, your pencil is not sharp at all. You really could have changed the way you said that to her. I had a type back then, but one look at you and that type was broken because you were the most amazing woman I had ever met. You were different than any other woman in the best ways possible. You also could have said, you fall in like with looks, you fall in love with the person they are. Your wife is struggling, you keep putting your foot in your mouth. 2, he is so painfully honest in the worst and most stupid way ever. 3, honey, your ugliness isn't that bad. Look on the bright side, your immense obesity detracts from your face. Jesus. After a while, you forget it's there and you just focus on the obvious stretch marks. That's good. That's a good thing. 4, your families are angrier with her. 5, probably not. The dude just doesn't know how to read social cues, so when they listen to him or talk sympathetically, he interprets it all wrong. This guy chose poorly at every turn. I mean, it was a very simple choice of like, here, buddy, here is a box of nails and a piece of bread. Which one would you like to eat? He's like, nails every time. Why, I don't know. I'm just trying to be honest. I'm really attracted to those nails. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? And of course, we've got to get Candy Thunder's feedback on this too. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring her back in. The one and only Candy Thunder.
I think the part that got me the most out of this story was when he said that both of their families were upset with her because she let her insecurities get the better, worst of her. Which means that there's a reason that she's insecure, and I guarantee you it comes from her family. Like she doesn't see herself as that, and whenever it's brought up again because of something that she never healed from, and then to find out that the person that's in your corner that loves you the most doesn't think that you're attractive to them, and then so all of those insecurities that she's probably had her whole life, and I bet she's beautiful. Like beautiful women can have insecurities, beautiful people can have insecurities. Like it doesn't matter what you look like. Everybody has their own set of things that hurt them. And this was one for her. And I feel like that's why she couldn't come back from it. But my God, dude, it was just like cringe after cringe. And I feel like you do not understand social cues in any way, shape, or form. Like, you don't understand what not to say in a situation. Even in counseling, you're like, look, did I think you were pretty? No. And I'm like, you said the one thing that you shouldn't have said, and you said it multiple times over and over and over again. And your wife was just waiting for you to fix it, and you just kept up harder. I really feel bad for her. And then for her to be the one that everyone blames, like she did something wrong. But I'm like, you broke
she
her.
Apologized.
I know.
They got back from that counseling session, and she's like, I'm sorry, I let this become a big deal. What do you do? What? But
I think there's like, we all have those like flaws, those things that we see within ourselves. And it's like when somebody points that out, and somebody, like if you were to point something out in me that hurt me so bad, like how do you look at that person and not see that flaw every time? And so she looks at her husband every time, and she feels like she's not good enough. So you can't stay in a relationship like that. Because I mean, at that point, it's destined to fail. Like she can't look at him and be like, oh, this man loves me for me. She looks at him and says, this man
judges me for XYZ. Yeah,
doesn't think that I'm beautiful enough for him. I didn't fit what he thinks a woman should look like, or his type should look like. And I feel bad for her.
Sergeant Mac commenting here that Ellen saying that this can't be the first time this subject has caused issues in the relationship.
Right. I think this insecurity, the fact that her family was like, just get over it. Don't screw up your marriage over this.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's not something that she did. It's something that he opened. He opened the can of worms, and he can't get it back in there. I don't know. That's not a saying, but
he's pushing a rope.
Yeah. I understand what he was trying to say. He just said it in the worst way possible. He said it in a way that broke his wife, like literally broke her.
Part of me thinks that might maybe not have been her reentry into the world as an independent individual, single individual, but also could have been her like recharging her battery, like trying to make herself feel pretty. And getting compliments from people on social because she knew she could do that, and that was recharging her battery, or it was validation. But it could have also been a step toward divorce, a step toward independence, because that's where it's ending up here. So
yes, I think that she has some work to do on herself so that this can't be used as a weapon against her. If you see yourself as beautiful, nobody else can question that you're beautiful because it only matters what you believe. And if she sees herself as beautiful, this wouldn't have affected her so deeply. And I think that's maybe why she apologized. Not the fact that it's going to end their marriage, but the fact that she allowed it to hurt her so much. And so I think if she were to work on that and like find herself beautiful, then maybe she can heal from this and be in a healthy relationship next time. Because maybe what he did was like the straw that broke the camel's back. But
I'm super surprised that you nailed that saying. I think that if she were in a position where she were happier with herself when this happened, and his drunk, filterless ass said what he said, which obviously isn't an alcohol-induced thing because he did something equally as stupid in counseling. Yeah. It's clearly not an alcohol thing. But if she were happier and more at peace and confident within herself, she probably would have just given him shit for putting his foot in his mouth, and that would have been the end of it. If I said something stupid, you would have given me shit right then, and I still do it. Yeah, I do it. I do it all the time. But you would give me shit right then, and 2 minutes later, it's over. It wouldn't have been haunting you, I don't think.
No, and I put myself in this position of OP and his wife, and I feel like I don't think I would leave you over that because I know how much you love me, and I know that whatever you had said, you didn't mean it the way that it came out. But I feel like maybe she's always doubted that because of her insecurities. Yeah. Maybe she didn't feel actually like surrounded in love. And so I think to me, it's like, I don't question whether or not that you love me. And so I know if you were to say something like this, I would probably be pissed, but I wouldn't let it affect me this deeply. But if me 10 years ago would have ended a relationship over this.
I hear you.
So, but me now, like being loved by someone completely and unconditionally, like changes who you are as a human being. So he can say that he loves her all day, but if he didn't make her feel loved, then there's a reason they ended up here. And it wasn't just this one thing.
Right.
Like it had to have happened multiple times. This same kind of scenario where he stuck his foot in his mouth. Is that the right?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at me. I'm nailing 2 in a row.
Hey, look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's definitely I think this is one of those things that like slow cracks. First ding creates that crack, and then there's more cracks build over time before that eventually breaks. That window breaks. Like, so it happened slowly over time. This definitely wasn't the first time this has been an issue for them. It's definitely not the 1,000th time. That's a hard word to say. The 1,000th time.
I'm not even going to attempt.
This has been an issue for her, right? Even before him. So this has been something that built for a long time, but this was a brutal enough ding to where it just sent the whole thing flooding down. And yeah, she's got to get back to a spot where she's 100% confident and happy with herself.
Agreed.
And we talk about that a lot, getting to that point before. Otherwise, there's a lot of pressure involved for the person that you're with. And in this case, there was a lot of pressure on him and his opinion on that kind of thing because it broke her whenever he voiced it.
Right.
If she can get strong enough to where somebody saying that doesn't hurt you, I think that's where you got to be.